Chess Technique YouTube. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hello everyone and welcome back to a new video. Friends, today we will be going to see an amazing game of Mikhail Tal, which he played this game against a very famous opponent, and also this game is very famous, and this game is one of the best moves or best games played by Mikhail Tal. And I'm not going to take the name of Mikhail Tal's opponent because it is a kind of a giveaway, and I'll be discussing it at the end of the video, so be sure to watch this video till the end. And now we'll be discussing some of the brilliant chess games of Mikhail Tal in this series, Brilliant Chess Games. And not only will we study the games of Mikhail Tal, but we will also study the brilliant chess games like the games against Mikhail Tal and Vishwanathan Anand, or the games between Bobby Fischer and Mikhail Tal, or even the World Championship between Magnus Carlsen and Vishwanathan Anand. So without wasting any time, let us get started. Mikhail Tal was playing with the white pieces. He opens the game with d4, knight to f6, pawn to c4, e6. It's the Indian game. We have knight to the f3 square, pawn to g6, planning to fianchetto to the bishop from the g7 square and cover up this long diagonal. We have knight to c3, bishop to b4, pinning this knight onto the c3 square. We have bishop to g5. Now white is pinning the knight on the queen. We have bishop to b7 as planned, pawn to e3, pawn to h6. Friends, Mikhail Tal goes for bishop to h4 in this variation, but I thought of playing bishop to f4, planning to create some pressure on the c7 square. And if now black plans to play some moves like castles, then we can simply have pawn to a3. And now if the bishop simply goes back onto the e7 square, protecting against the pin, then we can probably have knight to b5, attacking on the c7 square. You will need to play pawn to the d6 to you will need to play pawn to the d6 square in order to protect it. And now we can go for some moves like bishop to d3, and yes, you have nothing to lose, everything is protected. You can probably go for pawn to h4 or even pawn to h3, pawn to g4, pawn to g5. There are many threats, but this didn't happen in the game. After h6 we have bishop to h4, bishop takes knight, pawn takes bishop, pawn to d6, and now knight to the d2 square. We have pawn to e5, and now pawn to the f3 square. Friends, pawn to f3 is a very reflexive move protecting against this bishop. And now you also have plans to play pawn to e4. We have queen to e7, pawn to e4 as explained. Now knight b to d7, and now bishop to d3, and now knight to f8 square. Friends, knight to f8, it came out that it wasn't a nice decision by Mikhail Tal's opponent because it blocked with his castle, and this eventually turned out to be an horrible decision for the black player. Because friends, if you look, then in Mikhail Tal's most of the games, Mikhail Tal has won the games and he has not allowed his opponent to castle. But in this game, his opponent only didn't castle, and now it will become that Mikhail Tal is going to win this game easily. We can figure out from this move, knight to f8. Friends, we have pawn to c5. Now Mikhail Tal just bursts out everything, and now everything is upon fire. Friends, Mikhail Tal didn't go for pawn to d5 in this position because it would simply block out the position, and now simply knight to g6 was possible. The knights would become a lot more stronger, and after bishop to g3, castles. Now it suddenly would come out that black has a better position after bishop to c8, pawn to c5 or pawn to c6. Black has an amazing position against Mikhail Tal. So he calculated all this, and also after pawn to d5, the pawn on the c3 square is not going to get sorted out, because if you currently look, then these pawns are doubled pawns. So c5 was the only best move. After small exchange of pawns, we have reached this position where the Mikhail Tal's queen has become active, and this is the point where Mikhail Tal starts attacking, and this is the point where we come out, where we can observe that why knight to f8 was not a pretty good move and not a pretty well planned move. Now Mikhail Tal plans to keep his queen his opponent's king in the center. So we have castles. First we have knight to g6, knight to c4 attacking on the queen, and now queen to e6. Friends, I would like to give you some seconds to think about the move about which Mikhail Tal played in this position. So your time starts now. Yes, friends, if you have found the move pawn to e5, then you're absolutely correct. Pawn to e5 threatens about 2 moves, attacking on the knight and also planning to play knight to d6, creating a double attack on the king and as well as on the bishop. So after pawn to e5, there is only one saving move for black in this position. And if you play knight to d7 in this position, you will simply lose the bishop, and to make it even worse, you will need to play king to f8, and after capturing the bishop, your king is in a horrible position, the bishop is on an amazing position, and now even if you take the bishop first, there is nothing much going to happen, because now you can simply play queen takes on h4, the queen has come into action, there is knight to d8 check, and there are many more action to come in. So playing simply knight to d7 wasn't a nice idea, and now Mikhail Tal's opponent played an amazing move in this position, and now Mikhail Tal's opponent played the amazing move and only saving move, pawn to b5, attacking on the knight and also on the queen. And now if I was in this position, or even somebody else was in this position, he would simply think that, okay, I'm stunned, my queen is in the attack, oh no, and he would play his queen to the b3 square. And after pawn takes, he can simply play some moves like queen takes on b7, and after pawn takes, he can try to go for queen takes on 8, and yes, he will think that his opponent will blunder and the game will continue. But Mikhail Tal says that no, I'm not going to be scared, but instead I'm going to sacrifice my queen, which is kind of normal for me, and I'm going to play the spectacular move e takes on f6. What a really amazing move, friends, because now if you take the queen, which is kind of forced in this position, you take the pawn, now the king is almost trapped in this position, the king can't get out of it, and yes, the king can't get out of this position, and it's not easy for the black player to defend against this. So Mikhail Tal's opponent tried to play rook to g8, attacking on the passed pawn, but we have bishop to f5. You can't take because of knight to d6 check, and after this some moves, now Mikhail Tal has a passed pawn, the knight is in an amazing position, all the pieces are active. If you simply take the bishop, I will take it back, and after pawn takes, we can simply play rook a to d1 check, and when the king will move, I will play rook f to e1. Everything is active. There is a threat of rook to e7 check. You are in a horrible position with your very bad pawn structure, and also you have many pawn islands between your f and between the h pawn. So this is not going to be a dream position which black looked for. So after bishop to f5, there was only one move which could have again saved black. Knight takes on f4, sacrificing the queen, and it turned out that it was a good decision. But Mikhail Tal was eventually able to get his material back, and he landed upon a very amazing position. As explained before, the pawns are doubled. There is a full pawn island between the f and also on the h pawn. So after some moves, Mikhail Tal gained a advantage, or a decisive advantage, which we can say. He also was able to become a pawn up. His rooks were amazingly active, and now the knight was also under tremendous pressure. We have now knight to e5. He simply traded off the knights and simply went on to a nice rook endgame. He has these connected passes. Yes, even black has this d5 pawn as a passer, but it just can't do nothing. So after these moves, Mikhail Tal was able to exchange everything up, and after rook to the g5 square, I really like this move, because if you take the rook, you can think that okay, even I will promote my pawn to a queen, but eventually this turns out to be a very bad position, because after queen to b3, the queens would be exchanged, and after pawn to f4, this pawn is just simply unstoppable, and now you will promote your pawn to a queen. For instance, after the following moves, black can simply play this. The black king will run before your pawn, and yes, the queen is in time to reach on the a1 square. So eventually that's why Mikhail Tal would have been easily able to win this game. And yes, amazing spectacular game by Mikhail Tal. And friends, now we come on to the giveaway part. And before we come on to the giveaway part, I would like to tell you a thing, that this game was already covered, I think, in one of my videos, but I thought that okay, as I am making this amazing new chess playlist, so it would be nice that I would again cover up this game, because I found some amazing variations in this game which I hadn't found at that time. And yes, also we have reached 200 subscribers, so we'll be organizing a 200 subscriber special tournament after 15th July or even 20th July, because we need to some time to organize everything, raise the prizes and everything. And yes, now coming on to the giveaway. Friends, now coming upon the giveaway part. Friends, the first person in the comments to answer the name of Mikhail Tal's opponent, and the first person who will answer the name of the Mikhail Tal's opponent in the comments below, I will pin his comment to the top. And also we will also be giving his name in our official Discord server. As you can see over here, we have official Discord server name Chess Technique YouTube, and we will post the name over here. And yes, you will become a lot of famous in Discord server. And also we have a whole new Discord server, and I will be giving a link to it in the description below. And in the next video, I think we will be announcing the link or the date of the 200 member special tournament. We also have a special website designed before this video, and that's why it took some time to make this video. Not some time, but a lot of time. So I hope that you have enjoyed this giveaway and this video, and we'll meet in the next one. So till then, stay tuned and have a great day.